I've wiped down so many tables I can do it with my eyes closed. But the night a sleek black Bentley purred into our diner lot, my hands froze. I figured the man in the tailored coat would tip big, maybe even pay off my overdue rent. Instead, his dog sprinted past him, skidded across the greasy tiles, and planted both muddy paws on my apron like I was home. I'm Lila, working the late shift at Mel's 24-hour diner off the interstate. By midnight, coffee tastes like burnt pennies. That Tuesday was swamp humid. The AC coughed more than it cooled, and I was only upright thinking about my old minivan needing new tires. The bell dinged. In walked Mr. Sterling, Forbes list billionaire, local headlines with a copper-colored rescue retriever Atlas. His coat shone like polished pennies. Sterling expected applause. Nobody did. We were short-staffed. I grabbed my order pad, knees cracking after 8 hours. Sterling snapped his fingers. Atlas heel. The dog glanced at him, then at me, tail helicoptering. I offered my usual polite smile and crouched to greet him. Atlas leapt not to Sterling, but straight into my arms, nearly knocking the pepper shaker out. Sterling's jaw literally dropped. I watched it happen. Customers went silent, forks suspended. Heat crawled up my neck. I'm nobody special. I smell like fryer oil and vanilla creamer. Yet this animal acted like I held the deed to paradise. I hadn't seen Atlas before, but something in his amber eyes tugged like déjà vu. When I was 7, my dad and I found a skinny retriever by the tracks. We fed him half my turkey sandwich every afternoon until the city truck took him away. I never knew what happened to that dog. Atlas's eyes held the same grateful shine. Suddenly, I felt 8 years old again, standing on cracked gravel with mustard on my chin. I scratched behind his ear, whispering, "Do we know each other, buddy?" He sighed into my palm, heavy and certain. Sterling cleared his throat like a boardroom gavel. "Miss, I'd appreciate it if you didn't encourage him." He yanked the leash. Atlas didn't budge. Instead, he leaned all 40 kilos against my knees. I apologized reflexively. That's what servers do, but inside a weird calm spread. The dog had chosen, and I wasn't about to shove him off. Sterling demanded a corner booth. I led them over Atlas, sticking to my calf like Velcro. Coffee sloshed because I was trying to step around a dog who insisted on occupying the same square of tile. Sterling ordered a $7 espresso and a $30 steak to go for his driver. Atlas got nothing. "He eats at home," Sterling said, dismissing me with a flip of the menu. I glanced at Atlas. His tail stopped wagging. In the kitchen, I sliced up leftover chicken we keep for soup, wrapped it in foil, and tucked it into my apron pocket. Old habit, I guess, never could stand watching anyone, even a dog, go without. Closing time neon sign flickers off. I'm hauling trash past the dumpsters. Atlas barrels out of the Bentley's open-door leash, dangling. Sterling's yelling into his phone about stock futures, not noticing. Atlas skids to me, nose-diving for my pocket. I feed him the chicken. He inhales it, then licks the oil off my fingertips. That's when Sterling appears, cheeks red under the sodium light. "He's never disobeyed me like this," he mutters, more to himself than me. I shrug, wiping my hands on my apron. Maybe he just needed dinner. Sterling studies me like a spreadsheet that refuses to balance. Next morning, the vet's office opened early. Sterling dragged Atlas in for a full workup, convinced something was medically wrong. The vet scanned the microchip, finding 2 entries: current owner Arthur Sterling and first owner Lila Morales, me age 7, social security number and all. Turns out the city shelter rehomed my dog to a rescue group that shipped him cross-country. Years of sterile foster kennels, then adoption into Sterling's penthouse. The dog never forgot the kid with the turkey sandwich. Sterling calls me, voice flat. "You need to come down here." I'm still in my diner uniform, smelling of hash browns. Sterling stood in the vet's fluorescent hallway holding printouts like a losing lottery ticket. He offered to buy my claim to the chip for 10 grand, calling it just business. I stared at Atlas, trembling between us. 10 grand would buy those tires and maybe keep the landlord happy, but it would also yank Atlas from the first human he ever trusted. My throat felt lined with gravel. "He's not a merger, Mr. Sterling," I said. "He's a living thing, and he's already voted with his paws." Sterling's face cycled through surprise, anger, then something softer I couldn't name. We agreed to walk Atlas together so Sterling could see the bond firsthand. I brought leftover bacon strips. Sterling brought a designer tug toy Atlas ignored. We headed to the river trail. Every time Sterling called, Atlas glanced back then up at me. Tail slow, uncertain. I knelt, whispered, "Go on," and Atlas trotted to Sterling, polite but joyless. When I called his old nickname Turk, Atlas spun like a compass needle, north ears flying mouth open in that goofy retriever grin. Sterling stopped. "You call him Turk." I explained about the turkey sandwiches that tracks the city truck. Something in Sterling's posture loosened as if a tight tie finally gave. Back at the diner parking lot, Sterling opened the Bentley's rear door. Atlas refused to jump in. Sterling stood there, billionaire in a $1,000 shirt, holding a leash attached to a dog who wouldn't budge. Customers pressed faces to the window. Sterling knelt, unclipped the leash. Atlas shook free, trotted straight to me, sat on my shoes. Sterling exhaled a laugh that sounded almost like defeat. "Looks like you're the majority shareholder," he said. He handed me the leash, genuine this time, no cash attached. I felt the leather warm from his grip. Sterling confessed he bought Atlas because the dog looked regal in photos, thinking it would be good branding. He never asked what the dog needed, only what it could offer. Watching Atlas bloom under a waitress's bacon-scruffed love, Sterling realized companionship isn't a transaction. He waved off my thanks, saying maybe he'd donate to the shelter instead. I nodded, throat thick, because kindness sometimes arrives wearing an apron and second-hand sneakers. Atlas sleeps on my couch now, snoring like a broken tractor. The diner lets him curl under the counter during my shifts. Tips doubled, because who can resist a dog who chose love over luxury? Sterling swings by, sometimes orders espresso, leaves a 20, and no lecture. We trade small stories, Atlas chasing seagulls, learning to sit still while I pour coffee. The billionaire's smile looks less like a press release these days. I used the money I would have spent on dog food. Sterling insisted on covering vet bills for life to finally buy those tires. Our first drive was to the beach at sunrise. Atlas stuck his head out the window, ears flapping like victory flags. I told him he was a good boy, the best boy, words I couldn't say to the city truck all those years ago. He licked my cheek, salt mixing with salt. Have you ever had a pet pick you instead of the other way around? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one while the coffee pot perks. Word spread. Customers started donating kibble to the local shelter under Atlas's name. We keep a jar by the register labeled Turkey Sandwich Fund for overlooked dogs. It's filling faster than tips on payday. Turns out people are hungry for happy endings, especially the kinds that start in greasy spoons and end with wagging tails. Last month, Sterling adopted a senior beagle no one wanted. He brought him in for pancakes, actually, letting the dog sit on the vinyl booth. We both laughed when the beagle snored louder than the jukebox. Wealth still clings to him like expensive cologne, but something gentler sits in his eyes now. He scratches the beagle's ears the way I scratch Atlas's. Like maybe love is the only currency that never devalues. I wipe tables for a living, but Atlas reminded me loyalty can't be leased, only earned in scraps of kindness, shared behind dumpsters or under railroad tracks. That dog crossed states, years, and social strata to plant muddy paws on my apron because he remembered the kid who once split a sandwich and never forgot him. So if you think you're too small to matter, too tired, too broke, remember, a waitress and a retriever rewrote a billionaire's definition of worth with nothing more than bacon strips and trust. If this story made you believe choices rooted in kindness always find their way home, hit like, subscribe, and share your own tale of unexpected loyalty. Let's keep the turkey sandwiches coming.